this is Pollyanna Hale from thefitmumformula.com, and you're probably wondering why I'm holding a load of takeaway menus, because takeaway food isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you're watching your weight or when you're trying to eat healthily. But let's get real here. Life happens, things get busy, sometimes you don't always have time to cook, and sometimes it's just fun, it's social, you know, you don't have to put any effort in, you just ring up and up comes the food. So one of my members asked me the other day, what is the best food to order when you really want a takeaway? And I honestly do not believe in excluding anything and saying you absolutely cannot have a takeaway, because then every time you have takeaway food, you're going to feel guilty, and we just really don't want the feeling of guilt to be associated with food. That's not what it's about. It's really not going to hurt you. That being said, some things are better than others to choose if you don't want to go too far off track. And the same applies when you're choosing takeaway food as it does to creating any of your other meals when you're following the Fit Mum Formula plan. And that is to prioritize protein and fibre. That is meat, fish, eggs, vegetarian protein alternatives, and vegetables. And it's no different when it comes to takeaway food. And you're going to lay those out exactly the same way as on your plate. You want half a plate of vegetables, about a quarter to a third of your plate of protein, and a little bit of starch or fat depending on your personal preferences and how you're feeling. So let's have a look at some of the most popular ones. Okay, I'm going to start with pizza. Okay, pizza is a tough one, because pizza's pizza. There's not a lot of adaptations you can make to a pizza. That being said, some pizza companies do sell things like chicken strips and chicken legs, chicken wings, that kind of stuff. So something like that with a large salad, if you can get it, if they deliver it, or else if you can just knock to your corner shop and pick up a bag of salad, that's one way. Another way is to have the pizza but just have less of it, and again fill up on a large salad alongside it. So you want to be having a maximum of half of your plate of pizza. Choose a thin crust. If they've got the option to have reduced fat cheese, do that. There's nothing wrong with that, but in the context of having a takeaway pizza, you know, the whole thing is going to be a lot more fattening than if you were going to be cooking a meal from scratch at home. So I would go for a reduced fat cheese if you have that option with a pizza. Thin crust on a smaller size, which is normally about 9-inch pizza. That's probably a maximum of half a pizza, if that. Toppings don't really vary that much, because to be honest, they only have a scattering of each one anyway. Most are pretty stingy, so it doesn't matter too much. And yeah, you can add a load of vegetables on top, but even if you're having vegetable toppings, it's not going to add up to a lot. So I would say just make sure you get a good side salad along with it. Coleslaw doesn't count as a salad, obviously it's covered in mayonnaise, so if you're going to have coleslaw, take that into account and have that instead of some of the pizza. Moving on, we've got Chinese. Oh, Chinese is a pretty easy one, to be honest. My favourite dish, and the simplest one, is a chop suey, because it's just protein and bean sprouts and other vegetables. It's really easy. I mean, a prawn chop suey is really not very high calorie at all. Yeah, it's quite bulky, so there's a lot of vegetables, and the protein can be nice and filling as well. When it comes to choosing what protein you're going to have, duck is very fattening meat. It's very high fat. Now, at home, if you're going to be having something similar, say duck breasts and some rice and vegetables at home, you're in control of that. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with duck as a meat in itself, but in the context, again, of a takeaway, you've got to imagine you're not in control of the cooking, and everything that they're doing to that meal to make it tasty is going to be bumping up the calories. They're using more oil, they're using more sugar, they're using everything in their power to make it as tasty and moreish as possible, and everything's just bumping up the calories. So your choices have to be a little bit more restrained, and think some things are just going to be that much higher in calories. Pork and beef as well, they tend to be a lot fattier cuts of meat, as opposed to maybe the slightly leaner ones that you maybe prefer to buy at home. So chicken and fish, prawns especially, are probably better bets to go if you want to be not consuming more calories than you need. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to consuming fewer calories than you need if you want to lose weight. That's the number one thing we need to achieve. Otherwise, there are plenty of protein and vegetable type dishes that you can get from a Chinese. Just having a glance here, we've got Okay, prawns with mushrooms. We've got chicken with bean sprouts and cashews. Cashew nuts are obviously going to add a little bit of fat, but again, there's only a scattering in there. King prawns and ginger and spring onions again. Oh, mussels of ginger and spring onions. This one, very posh Chinese. Yeah, so anything like that. Protein and vegetables is the one to go for. And then if you can get another kind of stir-fried vegetable dish on the side, that's really good as well. Thai is really similar to Chinese. I would say actually Thai tends to be even fresher and less sickly sweet, less oily than Chinese. But again, you're choosing kind of similar dishes, protein plus vegetables, and then a little bit of fat or starch depending on your needs. You know, there's some people prefer to have more fat, so they prefer to go for maybe have the nuts in their Chinese dish. Other people prefer to have maybe not so much fat, but they'd like a little bit of rice or noodles on the side. That's what you have to determine what you prefer and what you feel best at. Only you can know that. I can't dictate that one to you. Right, Indian. The easiest one in an Indian restaurant is the dry meat, so tandoori chicken or a tandoori mixed grill, because it tends to be the sauces in Indian food that are really, really high calorie. They use a lot of ghee, which is clarified butter, and full fat coconut milk. And so there's nothing wrong with it, it's nutritious, but it is very high calorie. So if you're going to have a sauce-based dish, again, that's absolutely fine, but try and pick out more of the protein bits and, you know, not absolutely drench your food in the sauce, maybe. And again, if you can just try and keep, like, the starch, the rice sides to a minimum, maybe rice or naan, have a small portion of it, or maybe just one or two poppadoms. They're very light and crispy. They're really tasty, those. Just add a bit of crunch and texture to your meal as well, which is quite nice. But if you're gonna have all of it, it's really, really gonna add up the calories, and those starchy dishes just do not fill you up as much as the protein, and they don't keep your sugar balanced as well either. So just, you know, choose either or, not all of it. That's what I'm saying. Vegetable side dishes. They do them in some Indian restaurants. They tend to be really, really oily. But if you can have something, I know spinach and mushroom bhaji, they're not the same as the deep fried onion bhajis. They're more like an Indian stir fry. And yeah, they really are oily. But if you've got a slotted spoon, is a trick here. If you've got a slotted spoon, you can scoop out the vegetables and leave a lot of the oil behind. And again, if they have a side salads, often Indian takeaways come with a little bag of slightly soggy salad. You can either have that or just pop down to your shop and get a bag of salad. It's really, really simple. Have that alongside tandoori chicken and a couple of spoons of some tasty vegetable side dish. That's really nice. It's you know, and there you go. You can have your Indian takeaway. You don't need to cook. It's just a case of knowing the best things to choose that are in line with your diet. Final thought though, you know, as long as you're not having takeaway all the time and you're not eating your body weight in food when you're having a takeaway, it's really not the end of the world. I would much rather you enjoyed it and really relished it and had it as a one-off treat, just occasionally, and have whatever you want, than felt deprived and then as a result of that went and had something else afterwards. You went and had the puddings and the cakes and you ended up having takeaway 3 times that week just because you didn't get what you wanted. It's all about in the context of your overall diet, and once in a while going all out is really, really not going to hurt. So I hope that's helpful. We want to be having home-cooked, wholesome foods most of the time, but I love a takeaway as much as the next person. I'm being honest, the reason I'm sitting here in my sitting room right now is because I'm 2 days away from my entire kitchen being knocked down, part of a major home extension. So I think I'm going to be following some of my own tips here. Okay, thank you very much. That's Pollyanna Hale from thefitmumformula.com.